Jai, Hare Krishna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is See Through with me, Achyuta Gopi. It is a podcast where we help each other gain some insight into spiritual literatures and also into the workings of our own lives, our own minds, our own souls. So, welcome, all esteemed guests. We have tried to facilitate making a sort of spiritual abode virtually. We try to make a little bit of Vrindavan Dham with all of us, no matter where we are, no matter what situation we find ourselves in. We can be easily and quickly transported to Sri Vrindavan Dham. So that's the goal, to make the spiritual abode everywhere, within every heart. Because Krishna himself says that he is seated within everyone's heart. And then all of his devotees have told us that Krishna, wherever you are, there is the spiritual abode. So now we get to invoke that spiritual abode within our lives, within each and every single life. So without further ado, I want to begin with a few short prayers just to get us into the right mood. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Om namo bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate Vasudevaya. And just like that, we are transported. We are ready. We are eager to dive in once again to the unlimited pastimes of our supreme, dearmost, best, best, best friend. So we've been working with the pastime of Kaliya, kind of exploring, seeing what this pastime opens up for us. We read from Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. We read from Krishna book. And now we're going to hear a little bit from Garga Samhita. Anyone who has been with me for any amount of time knows that I really, really, really enjoy Garga Samhita because it gives such beautiful, amazing details into these pastimes. So we'll hear from Garga Samhita, but first, I thought I would insert a poem that I wrote a few years ago, reflecting on this pastime and reflecting on this incredible lesson that Kaliya has to teach us. We heard from Bhaktivinoda Thakur that so many of the demons or these obstacles in Sri Vrindavan Dham represent different things. Sometimes mindsets, sometimes qualities that we'd like to root out. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's a wonderful Bengali saint within the Vaishnav tradition, says that the chastising of Kaliya serpent represents brutality and treachery, which is kind of amazing. This idea of brutality and treachery and where it might show up in our lives and how we need the absolute grace of our dear Lord's lotus feet in order to root that out. And sometimes it takes the Lord kind of forcefully stepping down, squishing out all of those, we call them anarthas, or unwanted qualities. These are like unwanted kind of destructive weeds that grow within the garden of the heart. So this brutality and treachery, and then of course, where does it show up? Sometimes we have this brutality against others. Kaliya had some brutality issues against others, and he was kind of just doing what snakes do naturally, but there was this innate brutality and treachery that was there. But sometimes the brutality and the treachery is within us and against ourselves. So I was reflecting on this idea that where have I been brutal against my own self? Where have I been treacherous against my own self? Where have I been brutally looking at all of the unwanted things within me without ever acknowledging the good things? And so when I find myself doing that, I know that I need two things. I need the mercy of my dear friend's lotus feet, my dear wonderful Krishna, or whichever name you choose to associate with our divine, supreme, most best friend. So I need the shade of my friend's lotus feet, and I need the help of other spiritually minded people. Because there was one thing that was able to help Kaliya out of his misfortune, and that was the prayers of the wives of Kaliya. We need help. We need the prayers and the good wishes of those around us who really want our betterment, who really have our best interest at heart. So it is okay to feel as though we cannot do life on our own. It's okay to feel as though in order to get Krishna's mercy, we need the help of other devotees, other spiritually minded people. Not only is it okay, it's completely natural, and it's actually wanted. This is the prescription. This is the medicine. So I've been reflecting on where this brutality shows up in my life against others, but mostly, first and foremost, against myself. Do I start with it first thing in the morning? Do I wake up and some of the first thoughts I have are, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I'm too lazy. Oh, I don't want to get up. Oh, I don't even want to move. Why should I move? What difference will it make anyway? There's such an uphill climb to this spiritual life. Right? Such an uphill battle. Every day I feel like one step forward, 6 steps back. And I'm back where I started. This is really brutal. But it's against myself. Instead of looking at all of the progress that I've made, and we have all made progress. Sometimes we see, I'm handling my own moods in my mind better. Sometimes we see, I handle my anger better. Sometimes we see, I was in a situation that was quite provoking, and maybe I didn't handle it as perfectly as I thought I should, but I handled it better than I would have a year ago. That is progress. We should be seeing that progress because those are the signs of divine grace and mercy. Those are like looking at the footprints that Krishna left on Kaliya's head. Where can we see the markings of those footprints in our lives? Have we been making progress? I'm sure we have. The fact that we keep showing up week after week is progress. It's different than I would have done things even a month ago, maybe. We are making a concerted effort to show up and keep going despite how hard it is. That is progress. So this is how we can root out, little by little, this poison of brutality and treachery that will sometimes try to victimize our very hearts and our lives. So here's a short poem to begin with before we dive into this pastime from Garga Samhita. My ego is out of control. My willpower works against me. Some days I am caught in a storm of things I know aren't good for me, but I find no shelter. There is no safe house from the hurricane of my own insatiable desires. There is no antidote for my poisonous insecurities seeping out over the lake of my existence like thick, ominous, venomous vapor, telling me over and over and over again that the worst scenario is the only option open to me. The bird of my life is suffering, struggling, barely fluttering. O hero, almighty armed, love of my life, save me. I am in need of your magical touch. Return my life to me, which is being stolen by despair. Glance over me and remind me that there is more to fight for, so much more to live for. Your love is the antidote. Your love is the medicine. Your love is the cure. Your touch is my lifeline. And you, my Lord, are my only hope. Krishna is our only hope, isn't it? Sometimes we can't allow the mind free reign. The minute we do, it takes over. The mind is so good and so skilled at trying to take over. Our egos are so good at trying to take over. I'm trying to find those places. Why have I silenced my heart so much? When did I begin listening to my ego so much? Thinking that my heart has no idea what it's talking about. You can't keep me safe, heart. I have to listen to my mind and my intelligence and my ego. Has it been keeping me safe? I don't think so. My mind and my ego have actually been working against my own safety. My mind is such a skilled schemer. It finds the smallest space to crawl through. And then next thing you know, I'm taken off down a different path. I will start the day thinking, okay, here's the time. I get to spend time with my Krishna, with my dearest friend. And then the next thing I know, laundry, dishes, anything, everything. Things I don't even like. I don't like laundry. But somehow it seems as though I can't stop thinking about it when I should be meditating. And I don't even like it. It's unending. It's unceasing. And just when you think, I have done all the laundry I could possibly do, I've finished it all. All the laundry is done and everything looks nice and neat and you finally like folded it and put it all away and it looks great. Then you realize you have to take off the clothes that you're wearing and put them in the laundry basket. It's never ending. And you see, this is how it happens. Because I was talking about Krishna and I was thinking about Krishna. And now I'm thinking about how limitless this task of laundry is. It is that easy for my mind to take control. Oh, mind. When will we run away with thoughts of Krishna? When will we run away with thoughts of grace and divine mercy, compassion? When will I be obsessed with thinking about my supreme, dearmost best friend? Because it does make me happiest. But I convince myself, no, I can't be happy that way. Am I even allowed to be happy? Why should I be happy? This place is miserable. Of course it is. There are so many reasons to feel miserable, to feel angry, to feel upset, to feel slighted, to feel betrayed. This life will give us unlimited reasons for all of that. We have to fight and find the reasons to be happy, to continue to have hope, to find strength in love, to struggle to be kind. Oh, my mind. When will I give up the fight and realize that focusing on Krishna, becoming obsessed with my supreme friend, will actually give me all of the happiness that I am searching after every moment, all the time? You ever feel like you're not looking forward to Mondays because you're like, oh, and it's another week, and how am I supposed to get through another week? And already on Sunday, you're dreading getting through the week. We are looking for happiness. We are searching for it. And it's right there, within reach. Every remembrance of our divine friend, every remembrance of the representatives that our friend sends, brings unlimited happiness to the heart. And then we convince ourselves that's not happiness, that's not real. I want to believe in the magic of my spirituality. After all, that's why I started getting so intrigued. I might have been born into a certain spiritual path, but I make a conscious decision every day to choose this path and choose it again and again. Why? I want to believe in what I'm doing. Do I have full conviction? Do I have faith? Do I have faith like I have faith in the worst things about myself? I put my faith in all of the wrong things. I put my faith in I'm not smart enough. I'm not proud enough. I'm not pure enough. I'm not whatever enough. And I've put my faith in all of that not enoughness. Conversely, can I put my faith in the fact that I am enough for my friend? I am enough for Krishna. I am so enough that the moment I call out to my friend with all my heart, my friend drops everything that they're doing. They just run to my side. Do I have faith that I am so enough that all my friend wants is to spend time with me? I was just reading in Bhagavad Gita this morning in the 4th chapter, and Srila Prabhupada was saying there are so many reasons that manifestations of the divine person occur. Avatars, incarnations, right? So many reasons, and so many people say, oh, it's to slay atheists, etc. And Srila Prabhupada says, no. Our divine friend can do away with atheists with just a thought, with nothing more than time. Really, it is to give joy to those devotees who love the Supreme Person, who love Almighty, this most high Supreme Friend. It is to give joy to their hearts that our Lord comes in an unlimited varieties of ways. And he makes the point that not just on Indian soil, every single place on the surface of the earth and beyond, within every single heart, in every single life, the Lord will make his incarnation. And it's only because we want to associate with that Supreme Person, and that Supreme Person wants to associate with us, to save us from the dangers that we face in our lives. Personally, that's how enough I am. That my Supreme Person will show up in my life every day. That is how worthy I am. I am so worthy that my friend tells me everything about himself. I am so worthy that the Supreme Person says, I remember you. You've given service throughout lifetimes. Service you don't even remember yourself, but I remember. And I remember you. You want to know about me? No problem. I will tell you millions of names. I will tell you about my parents. I'll tell you my favorite color. I'll tell you about an unlimited variety of adventures just to give faith to your heart. That's how worthy I am. Can I have faith in that? Can I have faith that there is a supreme person who loves me so much that he says, I will never let you walk alone. I will forever be there present in your heart within every breath, so long as you choose to see me there. I am so worthy that my friend even says, all right, if you want to forget me, I'll even give you that. I will make every provision so that you forget that I ever existed. I am so worthy that my supreme friend simply loves and loves and loves me. Can I believe it? It is so unbelievable to think that little me is so worthy, so lovable, so enough. I say all this because my hope and guess is that I'm not the only one who has thought or felt this. I'm not the only one thinking, am I enough for Krishna? And the answer is resoundingly, emphatically, yes, 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 you are. I am. We are. Sometimes the question is, well, how? How could I become so enough? I am an embodied soul. Came with the hardware. We came already enough. We came already with souls that were worthy. We've been convincing ourselves that the opposite is true ever since. That is the trick of identifying with the mind. We've let the mind run so wild that it has convinced us that we are less than nothing. But Krishna doesn't see that. Our friend doesn't see that. And so he sends himself. He sends prophet after prophet, after teacher, saint upon saint, to continuously remind us, you are enough, as you are, for our supreme person. Saint after saint has said, I have seen the supreme person. I've gotten experience of the supreme person. Just take it into your heart that you, we, I, all of us are enough to traverse this spiritual path. And then we spend the rest of our lives fighting about it. We hear about the spiritual path and then we spend our time fighting over it all. Because that's the mind's job. The mind's job is Maya's agent. Maya gets such a bad rep because she has a very thankless task. She has a service no one really wants because she has to keep people away from Krishna. Why? Why? We would think, why? Why would a friend who loves us so much that we are inherently worthy purposefully have a creation that removes us from his love? The answer lies with us. It has always been lying with us. We have hurt Krishna's heart so many times simply by telling him what we want. And the problem is most of the time we don't know what we want. And we do not know what is good for us. And so remember how I said, our friend loves us so much. Even if we want to forget him, he says, I'll make all provisions. No problem. That is the unconditional love of God. I will give atheists every single provision to say, I don't exist. I will give souls that I love the ability to completely obliterate my existence from their lives. That is a love that is so intense, I can't even fathom it. But it's painful to the heart of our Supreme Friend. Why? Because our friend says, I love you. I just want to be with you. I just want you to remember who we are to one another. And our answer is very often, you want to remember, Krishna, you want to remember who we are to one another, but I want to live being the boss, so allow me to forget you completely. How painful. If we were in a relationship with someone who did that, our friends, our family would call them toxic. Our friends and family would say, we need to protect you from that person. Do we think Krishna's friends and family are different? Maya Devi is none other than Krishna's accepted sister. And so she thinks, I will now protect my brother. You people are toxic. I have to protect my brother from your toxic romantic relationships. And so she says, I will stand in the way. I will not allow anyone with impure motives or intentions. If you have any tinge of identifying with this mind that will tell you, I love Krishna one day and I want to completely forget him the next day. She says, no, thank you. I will not allow you in to hurt my brother again because he will accept you. Krishna will accept us. And so Maya steps in. And all she really has to do is ask one simple question. Are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure that I can't give you something else you might want? Are you sure? And she just continues asking this question. And every day, my answer is different. So many times I find she's asking, are you sure? And I'm thinking, well, Maya Devi, I don't know. I don't think I'm so sure. I mean, I thought I wanted Krishna yesterday, but today times are tough. You know, the struggle is real. So I'm thinking maybe I'm not so sure anymore. Like, I don't really know. And just like that, my mind is taken off, run in a different direction. And her job is done. She doesn't have to do much except ask, are you sure? Do you really want Krishna? Do you really want his love? Do you really think you're worthy? Are you sure? I want to move into a space where I am sure. I know with full conviction that Krishna's love and mercy is what I want. Krishna's love and mercy will absolutely fill me up to the point of overflowing. We have countless examples. We've been given saints from every corner of the world. Let's just believe them. Instead of fighting over what they saw or how they saw the divine or in which way they saw the divine or what they called the divine when they saw the divine or who saw the divine first or where they saw him first or her, him, them, all of them, instead of fighting over all of it, let's just believe all of the saints. Let's simply believe what they're saying. And the common thread in all of it is this spiritual path is worth it. And the only way through is love. This spiritual path is worth it, and the only way through is love. We need that love. We need that compassion. We need that service. But it all comes from love. The care, the accountability, the bravery, the courageous spirituality. Every spiritual warrior is saying the same thing. The only way through is love. Let's just believe them. Instead of fighting over the different ways that they can call to our hearts, let's simply believe that they are calling. First, let's accept that part. They are calling. And through those saints, our friend is calling. You, specifically. Our friend showed up in your life in just the way you needed them to show up, in exactly the form that you could understand, with exactly the name that calls to your heart, with the saints that make you feel that connection. And we know when we feel it. Sometimes we don't always know why, but we know when we feel it. This is not the first dance we've done with spirituality, friends. We've been dancing lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, partnering sometimes with our own minds, and sometimes, when we're lucky, our dance partners are those wonderful saints, those beautiful teachers that come to remind us, do you know who you are? You are so worthy, so loved. You are invaluable to the Supreme Person. The Supreme Person can, but does not want to replace you. Supreme Person who has everything does not want to replace you and the relationship that they have with you. That is it. That's nectar. That is sweetness. So sometimes when I find that my mind is running crazy with all of the what ifs, when Maya's really hammering her point home, are you sure? When she asks me several thousand times a day, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? I want to remember, I am sure. I've been fighting for so long, I'm sure now. Because my friend just wants me back. If I can't be sure of anything else, I can be sure of that. Every single teacher has said, you have a Supreme Person. That Supreme Friend wants you back. Even if they don't tell you what that Supreme Person looks like, Supreme Person wants you back. Your Maker wants you back. How incredible. We've been claimed by the Supreme. So, this is how I try to look at and how I've been reflecting on this pastime of Kaliya. More than just something that happened thousands of years ago. More than something that happened just in one corner of the world. This is something that inundates our daily lives. So before I get into all of the workings of these pastimes, I often get the question or the request. It's like, why don't you speak in Hindi? You know, do you know Hindi? I'm like, well, I do know a fair amount. Hindi, really good amount. It's like, why don't you speak in Hindi? Like, because that subcontinent of India was really lucky to house my best friend. But what good does it do if everyone outside of it never gets to know about my best friend? I'll reach more people with the currently, I guess, accepted language that seems to bond a lot of people. And I have to reach more people. We have to tell more people. Because it's great news. It's really amazing news to wake up in the morning and tell your friends, hey, guess what? You're worthy. Hey, guess what? You are loved by the most amazing and most supreme person. Can we imagine? Now, of course, when you're crafting your own prayers at home, I urge you and encourage you to use the language that is most dear to your heart. It is stated within Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Sri Krishna is the knower of every single language, even and including those of the animals. So Krishna speaks to his animal friends, and sometimes he has conversations with them in their own language. because that is how awesome our friend is. He does not bar anyone from communicating with him. But then, of course, when I want to go and communicate with others, I try to use the widest reach that I possibly can. So that's why English. And I've spent a long time studying English. That was my major in college. I was an English major. So I kind of feel like I've given my life to studying these words and how they work together to create moods and evoke emotions. And I like to use that as a service to my friend. So that's why I'm going to continue speaking in English a lot. So much English. And with that, we can jump into this beautiful pastime of Kaliya from Garga Samhita. Garga Samhita is, once again, it is a treatise, basically the pastimes of Krishna, as told by Garga Muni, who performed the name-giving ceremony of Sri Krishna. We spoke about him way back when we were talking about the advent of Lord Krishna and Balaram. So he performs so many rites for them because he is a sage. He is a priest and a holy man, and he comes and he has seen Krishna grow. So he knows so many of these pastimes and he speaks it. And then Narada, who is a transcendental traveling person, also speaks these pastimes to a king named Bahulashva. And so these pastimes, because they get spoken again and again and again, sometimes they have different details, but they also tell really interesting backstories. So let us hear from Garga Samhita about this story of Kaliya. And it arrives within a chapter of Garga Samhita, and the title of this chapter is The Story of Sesha. Sesha refers to Anantashesh. Right? He's a huge celestial serpent that Lord Vishnu is often seen lying on. So I'm gonna think, I thought we were talking about Kaliya. How did we get to the story of Sesha? Well, let's find out. Are we ready? We now get to leave our homes, leave our workplaces, schools, whatever it is, and we get to be transported to the spiritual abode. It is as easy and as simple as just locking our concentration and our hearts into this present moment. So Sri Bahulashva, who is this king, said, "After many births, even the great yogis in this world cannot attain the dust of Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Still, Lord Krishna placed his lotus feet directly on Kaliya's heads. What pious deeds did Kaliya, the best of snakes, do in his previous birth?" So, when we first encountered Kaliya, like when we first met him a few weeks ago, um, he was not described as the best of snakes. Am I right? Like he was like a scourge. He was in this pond in the middle of the Yamuna, and his vapors were so intense that they were just killing birds that were just flying around. All the trees were dead. Everything was terrible. So he was not being described as the best of snakes. Now, after he has had his chastisement and he is forever marked with the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, now he is the best of snakes. And last week we heard about a daytime rasa dance that Kaliya gets to be part of. He becomes the stage to Krishna's rasa dance pastime in an unprecedented, never before seen show of amazingness by our best friend. So now Kaliya is the best of snakes. This I wish to know. Please tell me this, O best of divine sages. Sri Narada said, in ancient times, during the Swayambhuva Manvantara, a sage named Vedashira Muni, who was a descendant of Bhrigu Muni, performed austerities in the Vindhya hills. One day, a sage named Ashvashirsha Muni came to perform austerities at this sage's ashram. So now we have Vedashira Muni, who is a descendant of Bhrigu. Bhrigu is another great sage. So all of these are sages. So Vedashira is performing austerities in the Vindhya hills, and then another Muni comes named Ashvashira. So with red eyes, staring at his guest, Vedashira Muni angrily spoke. Sri Vedashira said, O Brahmin, don't perform austerities in my ashram. O sage whose wealth is austerity, is there no other place where you can happily perform your austerities? So now we have turf wars. We've got like territory issues. Sri Narada said, when he heard Vedashira's words, Ashvashira Muni became very angry. With red eyes, he spoke to the best of sages. Sri Ashvashira said, O best of sages, this place belongs to Lord Mahavishnu. It does not belong to you or me. Have not many sages already performed great austerities here? You are angry for no reason. You hiss as if you were a snake. Become a snake. You will be terrified of Garuda. Oh, just as quick. You see how fortune can change like, is that quick? And a lot of this happened because of the anger, which is so intriguing. Because these two were great sages. They had been performing austerities and doing tapasya for a very, very long time. If the anger could get the better of them, then what's to say for the likes of us? But let's see what happens. Sri Vedashira said, Fool! For a slight offense, you plot a great revenge. On this earth, you are like a crow. Oh, fool, now become a crow. Oh, boy. So now we've got cursing and counter-cursing. It's like watching a version of Vedic Harry Potter and trying not to get caught in the crossfire of curses and spells that are being hurled back and forth. And so sages, often they will pour water into their palms, recite the curse, and then they toss the water. And I kind of feel like I just want to move out of the way of the water tossing back and forth and try not to get any droplets on me. Like, ooh, I feel like, oh no, what have we just witnessed? Sri Narada said, Lord Vishnu then appeared and consoled the two sages who were now unhappy with their curses. So this giving in to the anger we think will help us let off steam and will help us, and usually it just winds up making us more unhappy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, You are both equally devoted to me. O sages, you are like the two arms of my body. O King of the sages, I can make my own words false, but I do not wish to allow the words of my devotees to become false. That is my vow. And what a vow it is. I love that vow. I love it that Shri Krishna says, I will make true the words of my devotees. Because that means that what all the saints are saying is true. That means what Srila Prabhupada has said for us is true. That means we can make it, friends. We can do it. We can make it back home, back to Godhead. We can become Krishna conscious. Because that is Krishna's vow. He will not allow those words to go in vain if we simply accept the process. So I love that vow. I love that he takes that vow. And I love that he reminds himself and others of that vow constantly. Declare it boldly, O Arjuna. My devotee is never vanquished. He says in Bhagavad Gita, we should be declaring it boldly. Are we declaring the Lord's mercy boldly over our lives? Or are we simply looking at the things that we don't have? Yeah, Krishna, I know you blessed me yesterday, but what about today? Did we declare boldly? My Lord has given me such abundance. My Lord has given me such air in my lungs. My Lord has given me life every single day. Now we declare boldly, with strong conviction. I also find it interesting that this is the way of the material world. We will be devotees and we will find arguments with others. It's going to happen. And that's okay. Now, how do we recover? How do we find Krishna's blessing in all of this? Let's see what happens. O Vedashira, I will place my footprints on your head. Because of them, you will never fear Garuda. So Vedashira was the one who was cursed to become a snake. Now we know which snake he becomes. O Ashvashira, who was cursed to become a crow, hear my words. Please don't lament. You will have the form of a crow, but you will have transcendental knowledge. You will have yoga siddhis and the highest knowledge in the 3 worlds. What a blessing. Sri Narada said, after speaking these words, Lord Vishnu departed. O king, the sage Ashvashira became the crow Bushunda on Mount Nila. He's also known as Kaka Bushundi. If any of you have read Tulsidas's Sri Ramcharitamanas, you will know of Kaka Bushundi. He plays a very integral role. And so he becomes the crow known as Bushunda on Mount Nila. He was devoted to Lord Ramachandra. He was very powerful. He was a lamp shining on the meanings of all the scriptures, and to Garuda, he recited the Ramayana. So I found it really nice that we could kick off this week with this because Ram Navami is coming up on Thursday for me. And I thought it was so sweet because I was like, I really somehow want to put Lord Ram in just a little bit. But how do I do that? And then the Lord said, I've already made all provisions, Achyuta. It's fine. Just read the things. I'm making it happen. So Kaka Bushundi has shown up. And he was a crow who would often go every time Treta Yuga came around, because those are cycles, yes? So every time Treta Yuga would come and Lord Ram would appear, Kaka Bushundi would go as a crow and he would try to see the pastimes of Lord Ram as a child for 5 years. Because these are unprecedented pastimes. How often do you see Krishna or the Supreme Lord or Lord Ram as a baby? So sweet, so little, so adorable, so chubby. And so Kaka Bushundi, one time, he had a little bit of a doubt. Like, is this really the Supreme Person? What's happening here? And so he thought to fly away from Lord Ram. But Lord Ram was reaching out like, oh, a crow, let me reach out and pet it. Kaka Bushundi was flying far and far and far and farther away, but everywhere he flew, he felt as though Lord Ram's fingertips were just behind him. He flew as far as Brahmaloka, and still he found that the fingertips of Lord Ram, even as a little boy, were just within reach. He started to understand this can be none other than the Supreme Person. Kaka Bushundi has such a long life. He's known as one of those eternal living beings, the Chiranjeevis, among whom is also Hanuman. So 6 degrees of separation. How we get from all of this story to the pastimes of Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. So this is the crow, Bushunda or Kaka Bushundi. O king, during the Chakshusha Manvantara, Prajapati Daksha gave his 11 beautiful daughters in marriage to Kashyapa Muni. Kadru was the best of them. Today, Kadru is known as Rohini. She is dear to Maharaj Vasudev. Lord Balaram was born as her son. Kadru gave birth to many millions of great, powerful, invincible, jewel-decorated, and very poisonous snakes, some having 500 heads, and others having 100 heads. Among them, Vedashira became the great snake, Kaliya. So Kaliya is a son of Kadru. Now, who is the foremost of the sons of Kadru? Anantashesh, the king of snakes, who is greater than the greatest, was the foremost of all the sons of Kadru. So how incredible that Kaliya and Anantadev are siblings. That's crazy. That is crazy, okay? That is a family tree like none other. How incredible is Krishna? That you could be Kaliya and still have such a connection. I love Krishna. Today, Ananta is Balaram, the elder brother of the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead. One day, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the world of matter and is always happy at heart with words like the rumbling of clouds, spoke to Anantashesh. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, no one else has the power to hold up the planets of Bhumandal, the earth, and the creation. You please carry these planets on your head. Your power is endless, and therefore you are known as Ananta, the endless, limitless one. Please accept this duty for the welfare of the people. Sri Sesha said, O Lord, please put some limit on how long I must hold the world. Then, according to your word, I will hold up Bhumandal. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, and this is fun. Listen carefully, folks. O King of Snakes, with your 1,000 mouths, always chant my names, names that reveal my transcendental qualities. When you come to the end of all my transcendental names, you may put down the burden of Bhumandal and relax. Ah! So we know that Anantadev carries all the worlds on his head, but until when? Until he's done reciting all the names of Krishna. But what do we know about Krishna's names? They're also unlimited. So he's been chanting them ever since. He's been reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. He's been chanting and chanting and chanting the unlimited glories of our unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead. And still he has not come to the end of it. So he's still holding us all and supporting us all. How wonderful is our Lord. Sri Sesha said, I will hold up Bhumandal, but who will hold me up? Without support, how can I stand in the water? Oh Lord, please tell me. So without getting too much into the Vedic cosmology of the whole universe, there is water, Garbhodak ocean. We came to this when we were speaking about Varahadev, yes? So we have this ocean, and we have all of this causal ocean from which the lotus stem of Brahma has sprung. And Brahma could not even find an end to that lotus stem and an end to this great ocean of causal magnificence. And so now Anantashesh says, I will do what you want, but who will hold me up? I'm going to sink into the ocean. Now let's see what our Supreme Personality of Godhead says. Even more fun awaits. Ready? Listen closely. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, I will take the form of a tortoise, and then I will hold you up. Oh, my friend, don't be unhappy to hold such a great burden for such a long time. Oh my God, how cute. So Kurmadev is the foundation and the support for Anantadev, which is the foundation and the support for all the universes. How amazing is our Lord? How cool is Krishna? How cool is the Vedas? How amazing and vast is this Vedic understanding? Oh my God, I love it. Sri Narada said, O king, Lord Sesha rose, bowed down before Lord Krishna, who holds the flag of Garuda, and went 800,000 miles below Patalaloka. Then powerful Anantashesh picked up Bhumandal and held it in one hand. Oh, to be able to see the personified form of Anantashesh. As a person who worships Lord Anantadev, that is goals, absolute supreme goals. To be able to see his beautifully effulgent form with arms that are strong like pillars, Srimad Bhagavatam says. He is shining, and he is dressed in blue garments. He is effulgent, oftentimes with a complexion that is like crystal, white like camphor. Sometimes, on rare occasions, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes him as having a glossy black complexion. This is powerful Anantashesh. And so sometimes we see the inside of his hoods is this beautiful, brilliant white complexion, and the outer side is deep, dark, bluish black. How gorgeous is Anantadev? They say he encompasses all beauty that could ever be seen. Friends, I don't think we would need to see anything else ever. He calms the fears within the heart, and he fulfills all desires with nothing more than a compassionate glance. We have an unlimited amount of manifestations and incarnations of grace. Why? Because the Lord is interacting with an unlimited amount of hearts. So it might seem as though Vedic cosmology and the understanding of the Vedas has so many gods, but really, it all boils down to our one supreme person. But he manifests in so many forms and ways because he is interacting with so many hearts. And so our Lord will take a form that is especially suited just for you. And that is the moral of this story. Our Lord will arrive in your life in a way that is perfect for you. When Lord Sankarshan Ananta went to Patala by Brahma's order, the other great snakes followed him. Some went to Atalaloka, and others went to Sutalaloka, Mahatalaloka, Talatalaloka, and Rasatalaloka. So they all live in the lower planetary systems. Many snakes headed by Kaliya happily lived in Ramanak Dweep, the home Brahma gave to them. O king, thus I have told you Kaliya's story, which grants both happiness in this world and also liberation. After this, I don't even know what else we would need to hear, but we will come back next time and hear more adventures and more fun things. Krishna gives mercy to even snakes. He is so eager to give mercy to anyone and everyone. We are so fortunate to just try and scoop up some of that mercy in our palms. We will continue daily, as much as possible, to try and get the mercy from Krishna, to try and gather the mercy dripping from the palms of all of these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful saints who come to give us good tidings of our great fortune. So friends, if you remember nothing else today, please remember how fortunate you are. You are worthy. You are enough. And you are loved by our dear most supreme Sri Krishna, our dearest best friend, controller and cause of this entire creation. But he just loves you. And he can give all of his love to you and still never run out. He will never get tired of blessing you. You will never run out of blessings. And there is absolutely nothing that our Lord will not forgive. So if we have any doubts or if we've had any fears, we can lay them to rest right here, right now. And we can take the opportunity to go forth every day, waking up and reminding ourselves, wait, before the mind has a chance to come in and tell me all the things that I am not, let me remind you, dear mind, of who I am. I am the servant and beloved of my dear most friend. And that is enough for me. I am worthy. My superpower is that I'm friends with Krishna. That's all it needs to be. We are all spiritual warriors, and the battlefield is every day. It's happening within our own minds, within our own hearts. Luckily, Krishna has given us so many battle strategies. We can combat this. But the battle can't be won through anger or through the mind or through our egos or through being proud. These battles are won with compassion, with divine grace and mercy, with kindness, and the only way through is love. All the saints have said, and I believe them now. I absolutely believe with all of my heart, because I see it in every single one of you. Otherwise, why would we be spending this Monday coming together and doing this? And then we think, oh, when can I come back next? I'm already thinking, do I have the wherewithal to do a live on Sri Ramachandra on Thursday for Ram Navami? We get addicted to these hearings, these readings, these teachings. And we should get addicted. And it's because the only way through is love. I believe it. So keep being worthy. Keep reminding yourself. Keep coming back. Because I need you, friends. I really, really need you. It helps me to quiet my mind. So my mind will tell me more often than I can deal with. how unworthy I am, how much I lack, how I can never think to reach perfection on the spiritual path. But we can. Because Krishna said he will never prove the words of his devotees to be false. Srila Prabhupada says I can do it. My own teacher, my spiritual master, my Gurudev says, I believe you can do it. I have known so many saints in my life who have told me, you can do it, Achyuta. You can do this. You can be Krishna conscious. You can reach perfection on the spiritual path. And they make it sound easy because it is simple. It is consistent. That's the hard part. We have to be consistent. But we can do it. You can do it. Just as you are today. If you change nothing else about yourself and simply add in a little more Krishna every day, you can do it. Krishna will change the rest. You don't have to worry about what you have to change and all the pride you have to get rid of. And Krishna will get rid of it. Just add a little more Krishna in every day. 5 more minutes of Krishna than you had yesterday. Just a little bit more. It's true. One of our friends is reminding me. We are the descendants of supreme royalty. We belong to the Supreme Person. These prayers are worth repeating every day. I do not fear, because I am His. Who do we belong to? There cannot be any fear of anything when we are constantly reminding and remembering, really engraving it deeply into our hearts. I am His. I belong to those two, that supreme divine couple that resides in my heart. All right, that's it. You're worthy. You're enough. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for getting me obsessed and addicted to doing these with you. Thinking about how I can do more of them and not burn myself out. Thank you. You all are such an amazing addition to my life. So thank you for being here. I will see you all, maybe, hopefully, sometime later this week, but definitely next Monday. We'll be back for more goodness. And I don't know, man, all throughout the week, I've got to talk about Hanuman because, you know, you don't have one without the other. What's speaking about Ram without speaking about Hanuman? Because once we speak about Hanuman, such love for Sri Ram arises in our hearts, because how can you not? Hanuman just loves Lord Ram so much, you can't help but love it all. So we'll figure out a way to meet and give some katha. We'll try and find a way to fuel our spiritual addiction. That's the one I'm trying to give now. Like I need my fix of good katha. I need to speak about these adventures. We need to know what's happening next. So thank you. We'll be with each other. We'll figure it out. Until then, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Virtual Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. Ananta Dev ki jai. All glories to all of you. All glories to our supreme good fortune. All glories to us belonging to our supreme most friend. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Till next time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Let's keep on chanting. Let's take ourselves out of this situation. Go